I've never just practically climbing up this hill because it's wet, leavy, and super steep. Oh, I see the headstone. Do some of this stuff here. R-O-B-T.
Robert
Chesnut. Robert Chesnut.
Is that with P or no? That is right. That is not. R-O-B-T.
That's it.
All right, so Chestnut House, Malia, what do you know about this really spooky location?
It's interesting because I think it's one of our oldest locations for sure as far as a house, built in the 1830s. And what's also really unique about it is we're talking about familial history. This place allegedly has 20 generations of the Chestnut family, which there's no way any of our locations have come close to that kind of generational in one family legacy. So built by Samuel Chesnut, one of the pioneers of the area, and he has a wife, Rachel, and the fun thing about him is allegedly he died in a duel over a Kentucky horse race, which feels very Kentucky, very on brand. So Samuel dies, it passes to his son, William, or Billy Chestnut, who's our first William Chestnut. There's a lot of duplicate names in this family, which is very confusing. And he has 8 children, so quite a lot. And then they fall on hard times, which is very typical of stories like this, and the property gets sold. They get split amongst. But one of his sons, Isaac, ends up repurchasing all the property, and it's brought back into the family. What's fascinating about that is Isaac is really the reason why the Chestnut House still exists, as far as being called the Chestnut House. But everybody talks about his brother Bob, or Captain Bob Chestnut, or the Sexton Creek Cowboy, even though he rarely lived at the house. And he's an interesting character.
The biggest claim at the Chestnut House that we were told was this woman in white, right? But that's like typical. There's so many different places, so many like different investigations we've been on where folks have reported to see this woman in white, right? And it doesn't matter where you go. It's always like a woman in white here, a woman in white there. But what's cool about this spot, and it's interesting for us, and you know, a lot of the research we've done on the region and the environment, is that it occurs outdoors, right? In the barn area. What's right next to that barn, when we look it up on a nice little map, is that it's right next to this creek. And there's running water there, and there's limestone. So paranormal theory is that limestone kind of like retains memory, running water ramps up activity. So if we put on like our whoa, ghost theory hat, is the energy of this woman in white being trapped in the limestone, and is she emerging from the river, right? And like her spirit, and she's like walking through the barn, or is there a completely rational explanation? What do you think, Doug?
Well, one, if your theory is correct, we should see a lot of EMF signature, because you're seeing the lady in white with your eyes on a camera, which are photonic events. So I'd expect if there was any sort of energy signature, it should register quite strongly. As you said, there's many reports of lady in white all around the world. In this case, we're in a farmland area. I would expect that it could be caused by fog, could be caused by reflection off of water. It rains a lot in this area. It also could be caused by animal life, or even reflections off of trees. And I guess we will find out once we get there.
My name's Kevin Clary. We're in the Chestnut House in Chestnutburg, Kentucky. It's an amazing house. It's an amazing location. It's just peace and happiness is what it is for me. It's peace and happiness. There's a lot of people that are scared of the house. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that don't want to go in the house. They don't want to drive by the house. They see a girl in white out in the back. They hear piano music. They hear, there's all kinds of weird things going on that everybody's been scared of it since. And if I was a ghost, I mean, you drive by this house and you look at this house, and it's a scary house. There's a lot of stories in the ghost, and there's a lot of stories about the house itself with weird things going on. And so it all kind of, but I believe maybe it did scare people off. People see figures in the windows and just all kinds of. They claim, which I've never tried it. But there's the lights. If you look at the lights, they're fine. But if you take a picture of the lights, they flash. They say she comes out about midnight, after midnight, and she walks between the back of the house and the barn. And I don't know, probably at least 50 or 100 people have told me that they've seen this woman in white walking between the house and the barn. Bob Chesnut would be the end number one from back in the day, because he was just. They'll say it was a little. When he got back here, after the war, when he got back here, he was just a little crazy. He said the kids would. He would love to scare the kids. I mean, scare the bejeebers out of them. I spoke to someone the other day who was a relative. Who was related to Chestnuts. He is, but he said the relative of his hated to come to see Bob Chestnut because he would scare. He was such a mean son of a bitch when he came back here. He was so mean and he was just so scary that nobody wanted to come visit him.
All right, Melina, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us your relationship with the Chestnut House.
I'm Melina Henson. I've been coming down here a few months doing a couple investigations.
This house is shrouded in so much mystery, so much controversy. A lot of people from my research can't really agree on the exact history of the family. And you said you've been coming here for a couple months. What brought you here initially?
I just saw an ad for a paranormal investigation that they were doing here.
And what was your first thought when you saw this house? Because it scared the crap out of me when I first saw it.
Well, I've lived in the area most of my life, so I've been by the house a million times.
Okay.
I always liked the house. I just never got to come in it until a few months ago. A lot of people are afraid to even come in this house. Nobody can really agree on when the house was built or who started the house. You'll hear about a lady in white outside a lot. I've heard stories of everything from men outside, ghosts of animals.
Okay.
There's a horse, it's supposed to be a spirit of a horse around here.
What has been things that you've experienced firsthand?
You'll hear people in spirit box sessions. I've heard a man, a woman, a kid. A lady told me that her daughter would talk to a little girl in the yard all the time named Hannah.
Oh.
I haven't been able to find any Hannah in the paperwork, but she said her little girl talked to a little girl named Hannah in this yard for years. Every now and then you'll hear somebody walking around. There's no one in the house. I've not seen anything inside the house, but I thought I saw something outside one night.
So you explore these places with people because you're smart and, you like to have backup. But would you ever investigate the Chestnut House by yourself, completely alone?
No.
No.
It's a little creepy in here by yourself. I've spent the night in here, but not by myself.
Okay.
I don't think I want to stand here by myself.
So, Tanya, you lived here your whole life, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, and then where are we right now?
At the old Chestnut House.
This place is spooky.
I've just heard stories, and I was born 1976, 2 houses down. My mom had me down there, and she lived there a few years. She saw all kinds of stuff. Never did talk about it.
She saw all kinds of stuff here.
Yes, through the windows.
Like, what stories would you guys, when you were kids, like, dare each other to go inside and stuff?
My mom had seen, there was no electricity here, and she would see lights on.
People would talk about it in town or stuff, or like when you started bringing it up and like you saw stuff yourself and like she was like, oh yeah, we were like, everybody's known that.
Yes. When I was little, I was always afraid to even come over here.
So this was like the neighborhood haunted house, like.
Yes. Always.
Really?
It's always been that way.
And it's my understanding that you got some photos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you let's take a look at them right now. I want to see them.
I was actually sitting in my truck and was just snapping photos of the outside of the house. And this one here, it's got an image in it of the outside.
Yeah, so like all of this is like, okay, cool, you got the lights and everything, but
Outside, there's no lights.
what's that black figure over here?
That's what was in the photo.
And that was like taken right there, right?
It was taken there, and I took this shot here, and I zoomed it up a little, and the photo is even creepier.
Yeah, because if I wasn't standing right here, I would think that was like a water tank or like a tree or something, and it's like, there's nothing there.
When it comes to belief in hauntings and the paranormal, there's always a lot of perception associated with creepy buildings, right? The look of a dilapidated structure, a home built in the 1800s, pre-1900s even. But this particular house, the Chesnut house, has a very specific look. Even if you're someone that's not a paratourist or someone that watches the shows or believes in the paranormal, you go past a house like this and it's going to give you haunted house vibes for sure. When you're investigating a case like this, you have to kind of remove yourself from that and really, put yourself in a mindset that just because a building looks a certain way doesn't mean it actually has paranormal phenomena.
All right, so we got cows out here, and there's that black cow over there. But what we're seeing in that photo, I mean, the cows are here, they're behind a fence, and what we're seeing in that photo doesn't look anything like this black cow out here.
The decrepit nature of the location that we're currently in, even as you approach the house, you see this creepy white structure that's been decaying probably for a century or more. And it creates a sense of foreboding in you. As you enter the house, you find big gaping holes in the floor. Everything is very creepy and decayed. It's an ideal environment to create in your mind the idea that something nasty is lurking around the corner. And this is a primary reason why, if you're in a location like this, you may begin to feel like you hear something or see something. It's the very nature of the human mind to look for dangers. And in a place like this, you're going to start imagining all kinds of spiritual and demonic entities around every corner. Your senses will become hypersensitive. So you'll hear things that you wouldn't normally hear because you're no longer filtering out the smallest sounds. And any sort of flicker or shadow is going to grab your attention.
So I know you did an investigation at the Chestnut house, and I'm assuming that's with other people, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Would you ever investigate it completely alone at night?
Alone? No. No. If somebody was with me, yes.
Yeah.
I would definitely stay overnight.
Why wouldn't you do it alone?
No, I'm not going in there by myself. No. Not after what I've seen.
The way the murder was performed, there was some kind